Giannis demanded a trade, but now we know one team that will not make a deal. Ja's landing spot just got leaked, and it was not the Heat, Kings, or Bucks. Not to mention, LaMelo spoke on the trade rumors, and now there's finally a solution. NBA deadline day used to be a couple small deals, then last year happened. Luka, Anthony Davis, De'Aaron Fox, Zach LaVine, Brandon Ingram, and Jimmy Butler all got moved. But this year could be even more. Obviously, we know superstars like Giannis and AD are still in the market, but we've got some new names leaking out every single day. So today, we're revealing one trade every NBA team will make before this year's deadline. Let's get it. Welcome back to another edition of The Hampton Show. Joel, how are we feeling today?
I'm feeling good. Last night was a great win for my Knicks. Third seed in the Eastern Conference now after beating the Raptors. I love the added energy this team's playing with now. Cat didn't score much, but he had, I think, 19 rebounds. I mean, it's just unbelievable basketball, and they're figuring things out, and I love to see it.
So what I'm hearing is you're back on the Cat train, correct?
No, I'm not. No. Cat's playing well though, but I'm not back on the Cat train now.
I just had to clarify that. Today we're revealing one trade for every NBA team before the deadline, and first we're going to start with the Atlanta Hawks. Joel, I was thinking Atlanta for a couple minutes today once I was starting to figure everything out for the pod, and I just kept going back to Anthony Davis and a trade, some type of framework involving Kristaps Porzingis, Luke Kennard, and a first or two firsts, whatever Dallas wants. It seems like Atlanta would be willing to make a move like that, and it feels like Anthony Davis is number one on their target list as far as trade pieces.
They need things desperately on their roster: defense, rebounding, and I would say a more reliable option at center. Porzingis has missed a lot of games, and that is also the story of Anthony Davis's career. But I think Anthony Davis is still more reliable than Kristaps Porzingis. And if you don't have to mortgage your future to bring in Anthony Davis into the building, then you do it. Porzingis and Luke Kennard, I believe, makes the money work. At that point, you can add in a protected first-round pick, but you don't have to add in the Pelicans pick. That is an asset that is untouchable. And you can have Anthony Davis on the roster with Jalen Johnson and Onyeka giving them a strong front court. Dyson Daniels, Alexander Walker, CJ McCollum. They would have enough to be a dark horse team in the Eastern Conference. And then next year, when CJ McCollum's contract expires, they will have enough money to have Anthony Davis on the roster and not be over the second apron and still have the 2026 first round pick from the Pelicans and add a very talented young player to the group. So it makes sense for Atlanta in the short and long term for their team. And I think that they're the team that it makes the most sense for AD to go to.
Look, I don't want to be dramatic right off the bat, but it feels like this is the end of Kristaps Porzingis' career. This has gone 2 seasons now, where last year I think it cost Boston another championship. Your Knicks were able to beat them in the second round, in large part because Boston was not whole, and that reason was Kristaps Porzingis. Yes, he was on the floor, but it was a mystery illness. And the fact that we still have no idea what that was, what it is now, and what is affecting him it's not right. We should know what happened to Kristaps Porzingis. Was it an illness? Was it a condition? What was it that has happened to his career? Because he has simply not been able to get on the floor. This season, it's been a different result, but KP, it looks like his days are numbered in this league, and that's unfortunate because it was a guy who, when he came into the league for New York, looked like he had a face of the franchise potential, and now it's just gone completely the other way. He has won an NBA title. He is forever an NBA champion, but it's a sad, sad ending for KP.
Even in the NBA championship run, he didn't play all that much in that run either. Yep. He was injured for most of it. Injuries have cost him a lot, and I think that's just the story of his career and why it didn't take off. Even with the Knicks, he tore his ACL in his breakout season, so he's just always had to deal with something.
Yep, for sure. Let's move to the team he won a title with, the Boston Celtics. Ivica Zubac seems like a guy they were interested in, and according to Hoops Hype, they made an offer for Ivica Zubac back in December when the Clippers were struggling. They were 6-21 at the time. The offer they made was Anthony Simons, a first-round pick, and a pick swap. The Clippers turned them away, even despite being almost 20 games under 500. And it looked like they made the right decision in hindsight. They've went on an incredible run, 16-3 since that mark. So Ivica Zubac seems like a guy they would do anything to get. Another sleeper for Domantas Sabonis or any other big man you want to name and slide in for Boston.
I think when it comes to Boston, number one, good for the Clippers not making that deal because Anthony Simons is on expiring. And
Hmm.
if you want Zubats, I need at least two or three unprotected first round picks. I mean,
Hmm.
Zubats just last year was an all-star caliber big. I think Boston has a lot of options. Zubats is one that comes to mind. I also think of Nick Claxton in Brooklyn, and I think he would fit their identity more, just being a switchable big. And then I look at Daniel Gafford in Dallas. I think Dallas has, well, Derek Lively's hurt, so now they don't have an excess of bigs, but Daniel Gafford for the right price, I think could be shopped. And if Boston gets a Gafford, I think they just need a center to really complete their rotation. Jason Tatum, it just news broke yesterday from Chris Haynes that he's reevaluating his situation, so he might not come back this season. But if he does, it does feel like Boston's just a big away from being back in contention.
Yeah, I think a guy who would fit better than everybody we've named would be Miles Turner, especially with the Giannis news coming across the pipe this week. Miles Turner signed that massive extension in Milwaukee, and that doesn't feel like a deal you make if you're going to be tanking after Giannis. Boston can take on all of that money, and in exchange, Milwaukee could get the expiring and Anthony Simons, like you were talking about there, and attach a first round pick to it as well, or whatever Milwaukee would want. But I think Miles Turner would be a good fit. What do you think about that?
I mean, I like it. I mean, it's kind of like Al Horford.
Yeah.
You got a floor spacing five, not as good of a rebounder as Al Horford, but you still provide that defense and the outside shooting. So it makes a lot of sense. But I just question if they will have enough money to match what Miles Turner's making to make that deal.
Yeah, that's true. Let's go to the Brooklyn Nets. Um, I think MPJ is the only move here. His value's at an all-time high. You're comparing him to guys I would never compare him to, and quite frankly, it's ridiculous. But I think you have to move on from him for draft capital, similar to what they got from Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson.
Who would I compare him to?
I don't know. You tell me.
Well, Michael Porter Jr. I've said is lower marketing without the PR. Michael Porter Jr. is just as good as Lauri Markkanen, every bit as good as him, and he's probably even better than him. But because of the PR, because Lauri's been putting up great numbers in a bad situation for years now, we kind of give him a longer leash. But MPJ, if
Has
he
never
goes
been
to
an
the
all-star.
Warriors,
Never been an
he's
all-star.
going to be an all-star this year, I think. He will
Okay. Yep.
be a
Keep
one-time
dreaming.
all-star. Michael Porter Jr., if he goes to Golden State, he'll be the second splash brother next to Steph Curry. If he goes to Detroit, he can be the reason why they make it out of the Eastern Conference. I think the Nets, that is their most valuable asset. And quite frankly, he's not the only player I'd be looking to trade. I'd be looking to trade Cam Thomas and getting his bad vibes out the building.
For
You
what?
probably won't get much for him, but I would still look to trade Cam Thomas just because at this point he's not cheering for teammates on a bench. He's in the game and he's disengaged. Cam Thomas really is just he is a negative for them right now. Just his presence, his energy in the locker room.
Completely agree. And who I don't know who could have seen that coming with Cam Thomas, but the MPJ thing, I'll let you live today. I'm not going to argue about the Brooklyn Nets and what they should or shouldn't do. All I'm going to say is that the Golden State Warriors, all their eyes are on Giannis, and we'll get to that in a minute. I don't think they're worried about MPJ, and calling him a second splash brother for the Warriors is ridiculous. That team would not make it out of the play-in tournament with Michael Porter Jr. on the team.
Oh
Uh,
yes, they would. Oh
no,
yes,
they
they
would
would.
not. The
They
Charlotte
would.
Hornets, it's similar situation as the Nets. Charlotte has been a resurgence over the past month or so. They're 7-3 in their last 10. I think Miles Bridges would be the only move they would be willing to make. All this smoke around LaMelo Ball for the last year or so, I don't believe it. And quite frankly, his teammates don't want him gone. And he's spoken on this for months now. He does not want to be traded from the Hornets. I think he's one beloved in that city, and two, he's loves that locker room and is tight with all the young guys there. Miles Bridges feels like a guy they're ready to move on from, and they're looking for a first round pick. I don't know if they're going to get that, but I saw a post the other day. And I think it was like the Hornets or Miles Bridges became like the Hornets' third all time leading scorer, and I couldn't believe it. So I think he does have some value. It's not quite MPJ value, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're able to get one first for him.
Their all-time leading scorer is nuts considering, I don't know. You're counting the Charlotte Bobcats, the Charlotte Hornets from in the 2000s and the 90s. So you have like Larry Johnson, Alonzo Mourning. You also have Kemba Walker, but Miles Bridges has been there for a while, and he's been averaging like 20 a night for
Oh yeah,
years now. So it makes sense. I think Charlotte has the right formula. I think LaMelo Ball, Miller, and Kneppel are building blocks for the future, and their better play, and I would say their wins are in large part due to them finally being healthy.
for
It
sure.
was never a question mark about the Hornets, like whether or not they can win basketball games. It was, can LaMelo stay healthy and can Brandon Miller stay healthy? And now that they are healthy and they're all on the floor together, they are an explosive offensive team. And I think someone like Diabate has been huge for them as a rebounder and as a defender. So with Charlotte, I don't even know if they need to trade Miles Bridges. I wouldn't be so quick
Yeah,
to make a trade if I was Charlotte. I kind of feel like you let the season play out and just try to be as healthy as possible and try to maybe get in the play-in tournament. The Hornets do feel like they're knocking on the door to finally breaking out and finally becoming a team that I feel like most people have projected them to be for years now.
for sure. Do you want to guess the two guys in front of Miles Bridges on the Hornets all-time scoring list?
Kemba Walker
Yep, he's number one.
and Larry Johnson,
Larry Johnson's number five. Good guess though.
Alonzo Mourning.
Lonzo Mourning is not on here. I don't know if he's. Oh yeah, he's 14. He's 14.
Okay. Del Curry.
Del Curry's number two. Kimba, Dell, Miles Bridges, Gerald Wallace, Larry Johnson, Terry Rozier's number six. LaMelo Ball's number eight. Scary
Yeah.
Terry,
Yeah.
top six in Hornets history.
It's
Crazy.
not a great history. Yeah.
Tough scene. All right, let's move on to the Chicago Bulls. They are wanting to take a swing and they're not quiet about it. I think Zion Williamson is that swing for them. You can put together a deal, Patrick Williams, Zach Collins expiring contracts, and throw in two first round picks, and I think that's good enough to get Zion. Would you give up two firsts for Zion?
Unprotected. I think I would because if I'm giving up Patrick Williams and like if I'm giving up nothing and it's just two firsts and it's contracts that I'm actively trying to get out of, like Patrick Williams' contract is one of the worst in basketball for a role player.
Mhm.
So if I think you have to attach picks to get yourself out of a situation like that. With Zion, it's tough because this is now his fifth year that he's going to play under 65 games, I believe. You can't rely on him,
No.
but I think it is a solid swing for Chicago and the type of brand and style they want to play, which is fast pace, fast break tempo, is I think it fits him. Like Josh Giddey, Zion in transition, I can see it. I can see them running in transition and Josh Giddey throwing a lob from half court to Zion and him dunking. And what is this United Center? That's what it's called, United Center.
Yeah.
United Center is just going wild.
Mhm.
I can see that. So I think Zion Williamson needs to change the scenery, and I think Chicago wouldn't be the worst spot.
Yeah, I want to separate two things for me. This is what I think they would do with, everything they've been saying and, how badly they want to take a swing here. I can 100% see them making this move. I would not do it. And I'm at the point where with Zion Williamson, I'd rather have Ja Morant over Zion and it's not even close. I think I don't understand
Wow.
why that's funny. Morant
It's
has had
funny.
multiple 50-win seasons as the best player on his team.
Like four
Zion has
years
had
ago.
zero. Morant has won a playoff series. Zion hasn't
Yeah.
even played a playoff game. That has not happened. And they are both unreliable. I'm not going to sit here and act like Ja isn't, but only one of those guys can actually win games whenever they are healthy, and that's Ja. Zion doesn't feel like a swing I'd take if I was Chicago, but I think they'll ultimately take it.
Yeah, listen, I think that it's fine for you to kick Zion while he's down. It makes you feel better about Ja Morant, knowing that
Doesn't.
he has no value across the league.
It
So,
doesn't make me feel any better about John Moran. I'm still sitting here and we're trading our favorite player. But if I had to make a choice between those two, the data points to Ja. Almost all of it does.
well, the data points to Zion being a better player. He's a better player, but he just isn't on the court. If we did a redraft, Zion goes number one still with everything we know.
No, he does not.
Yeah.
See, I love how everybody wants to point to his effective field goal percentage, his 25-point average. None of it has led to winning. And as hard as it is to build around John Morant, he has won something. It's not been much, but he's won something, and he's been a top three seed in a Western Conference that has been
Yeah.
tough over the last decade. Zion, I mean, he'll make it to the play-in and won't even be able to play in the game. That's what it is.
You know, Zion, he's had unfortunate runs with injuries, but I would still take a number one. Even like I would bank on the ceiling of him over the ceiling of Ja.
What
Still,
ceiling? Jordan just dropped him. That happened this week. That happened. Jordan had 7 years and $75 million invested in Zion Williamson and said, you know what? We're not going to renew. We can't sell the shoes. You're not on the court. You don't win. I'm sorry.
that's fair. That's fair. And Ja Morant has nice sneakers.
He does have nice sneakers. He's got a Nike deal too. But he wins. That's the point, Joel. I understand that Zion, bang, pound for pound, Zion might be a better player. He might, but I know it doesn't lead to winning.
No, Ja leads to winning
More winning than Zion. More winning than Zion.
by 3 games.
Let's get into the Cleveland Cavaliers. I didn't have anything for them because their hands are so tied right now, but it feels
Hmm.
like all signs are pointing to LeBron signing there for cheap in the offseason. The return this week was pretty emotional for him. And Brian Windhorst reported yesterday that the Lakers only want LeBron back if he takes a discount. I think if he has the same number in front of him between the Lakers and the Cavs, and it's a mid-level exception, I think he takes Cleveland's offer.
The Cavaliers have the highest payroll in the NBA. They are over the second apron. They
Yikes.
can't make any moves. In the offseason, it's going to be interesting to see how they maneuver. They wanted to give this team one last chance. First seed last year. They got off to a rocky start this year, but they are now climbing up the standings. So Cleveland isn't totally dead yet. This is a team that's not going to make any move at the deadline, though. They're going to stick with the core. They're going to try to get healthy, and they're going to try to make a run. In the offseason, we'll see, depending on whose contracts are expiring and not, and what they do. Maybe they do get LeBron. I think it'd be a cool story, but as of right now, they're not making any moves.
Yeah, and just like I remember a couple months ago, you were ready to bury him. Now they're
I
eight and
am.
two. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They're about to pass Toronto as a top four seed in the East, and they're as dangerous as any other team in that Eastern Conference. They have more experience than Detroit. I think New York is the team I would give the edge over anybody. Cleveland is more talented right now than the Boston Celtics. They still have a puncher's chance for the NBA Finals, in my opinion.
A puncher's chance, sure. I'm still not sold on them. I'm not sold on their perimeter defense. I'm not sold on their outside shooting. I'm not sold on them staying healthy. Those are all things that make me sell the Cavaliers as a true dark horse contender or a contender in the East.
That's fair. We'll get into the Dallas Mavericks. I just put Anthony Davis on there. They just need to take that Atlanta offer we had already talked about. You agree? Or you got another move? Maybe trade Najee Marshall for something valuable.
The only thing holding Dallas back from trading AD to Atlanta is getting Porzingis back.
Yeah,
He's a guy that played for their franchise, albeit different ownership at the time. It might not be a warm welcome for
mm-mm.
Porzingis to want to go there and for them to want to reunite with Porzingis. It might not be something that they are willing to do. So that's the only thing that could stop a deal from potentially happening. But if there is any trade they make that is like outside of them being sellers at the deadline, which I do think they should be sellers. Najee Marshall, he is pretty valuable. Anthony Davis, he's going to get some value. But if they are buyers, I think they need to go out and they need to get a point guard for Cooper Flag. Just a
Yeah,
more reliable point guard, a steadier hand. Um, just so he doesn't have to have so many ball handling responsibilities. Because we've seen when the ball has been taken out of his hands and he's been able to play more as a forward, he's been much better. So
for sure.
I think that's their goal.
Yeah, it is. They definitely need to be sellers. All the picks and assets you can get to build around Cooper for the future. Let's get into the Denver Nuggets. I put nothing. They already made one of the best trades of last offseason. We've talked about it. Their trade for Cameron Johnson and what they got from Michael Porter Jr. was phenomenal because it wasn't just about Cam Johnson. You try to compare these players one for one. That's not what it was. That trade allowed them to pick up Tim Hardaway Jr., who's been phenomenal for them. It allowed them to sign Jonas Valanciunas as well. And Bruce Brown can be thrown in that bunch too. So I think Denver made their move last offseason. It was one of the best of the summer, and we can move on.
Most of those guys were minimums. Most of those guys would have been able to be signed with MPJ there. And I think that if you get MPJ there and then you get the breakout of Peyton Watson, I mean, a lot of things for
It
Denver
doesn't
were pretty
happen.
awesome.
MPJ's there. That's why this has happened. Cam
So
Johnson
Peyton,
has gotten hurt.
okay, so Peyton Watson doesn't break out if MPJ's there. Okay, got it. He doesn't get better at basketball if that happens. I get it. No, Brooklyn got a first round pick in MPJ. They got the better player, and they're gonna probably flip MPJ for like three first round picks. So like they are gonna build their stash of first, based on that trade. But no, Denver doesn't need to do anything.
Brooklyn doesn't know how to draft. That's the problem. They didn't win that. They don't know how to draft. They had 5 last year, and none of them have hit. That's what this is. You can say
Diego
they
Demon
won
is
the
it.
trade, but they haven't. They
Diego
did not
Demon
win
is
the
it.
trade. Denver has won the trade.
I don't think Denver won the trade. If anything, it's even. They both won their respective sides. But look, listen, man, Denver, they haven't been fully healthy for a long stretch this season. It's either been Aaron Gordon out or Jokic or Camp Johnson, but Jamal Murray is broken out. Payne Watson is broken out. Jamal Murray is
Jamal
playing like
Murray's
his
broken
playoff
out.
self.
There's nothing that's broken out. He's
Well,
just
there is a
brought the
breakout.
playoff
Well,
tenacity
there's a
to the
breakout.
regular season.
Is this his
He's not
breakout?
broken out.
Is
We
this
knew
his
who Jamal Murray
is this his
was.
breakout regular season? Yes or no?
Breakout regular season. No, we already
Yes,
knew
it
what
is.
Jamal Murray
Yeah.
was.
So
He has played up to what we expected it
is
to be.
Jamal
Finally,
Murray?
in the regular
Let
season.
me ask you: is Jamal Murray an All Star this year?
Yes, he's an
Was he
all-star.
was he an All Star in any other season in his regular
He
season
has
career?
been a superstar in the playoffs before, not just an all-star. We
Okay, so
expected to see
he
this
is broken
multiple
out.
regular
So
seasons ago,
but
and
and it
now
didn't
he's
happen.
finally
And it
the
didn't
number
happen.
2
And it
that
didn't
Nikola
happen.
Jokic deserves.
And
That's
it
what
didn't
has happened.
happen. So so how come Nikola Jokic can miss games and they can still win? Because Jamal Murray has what? Broken out in the regular season,
Because they
correct?
made a trade and got deeper. That's why.
No.
And Jamal Murray has
Jamal
been
Murray has
better.
carried the team without Jokic on the floor.
Okay.
And yeah, he has broken out in the regular season. That's not something he has done in previous seasons. And yeah, Jamal Murray always had it within him to do that, but he never did it consistently in the regular season. So yes, it is a breakout for Jamal Murray in the regular season is what we're talking about. We know he's a playoff riser. We know he lives up to the occasion, and we know that the Denver Nuggets are winning the NBA championship this year.
What was that?
The Denver Nuggets are winning the NBA championship this year.
So you attempt to argue me, and then you go back to the point that I said in August. Is that a white flag?
You had the
Because that's
Knicks
the biggest
beating.
white flag I've
Wait,
ever
hold
seen
up.
in my
You
life.
had you had the Knicks
That
beating
is
Denver,
has to
didn't you?
be. You have bought an 8 foot by 8 foot white flag, and you're waving it over your head right now because it has been OKC, 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 OKC up until this week. What has happened?
Well, what's happened is that Denver has gotten breakouts from multiple areas. I think
Word.
like Payne Watson breaking out is such a huge swing for them. I think.
This is Jamal Murray's 9th year in the NBA. About that is breakout?
And this is his first All Star though, right?
It's not his first championship. He's been a superstar in the playoffs, Joel.
No, he hasn't even
We
won
have
another championship
expected
yet.
we have expected this regular season from him in year 4. We've
Yeah, and
waited
he
half a
finally
decade
did it.
for it, and it's finally happened.
So
And I
so
give
you
credit
have
because it has
yeah.
finally happened. Maybe it has to do with health, but
Okay. So
it's not a
you have
breakout, bro.
you have predicted a breakout regular season from Jamal Murray for years now, and it didn't happen. And it finally happened. He has broke out in the regular season. He has never had a regular season as great as what he's having right now. That's my whole point. I'm not saying Jamal Murray is now a player that we never thought he was. No, I'm saying he has broken out in the regular season. And that's a big reason why Jokic can be off the floor and the Nuggets can still win basketball games is because Jamal Murray is taking his game to another level.
Can we get back to the championship point?
Oh yeah, I mean,
Why
listen.
do you believe, Joel, not Jack, why do you believe that they are going to win the NBA Finals now above the Oklahoma City Thunder and get through them on the way there?
Because they have the best player in the world and they have a deeper roster now. That's it. And then
Why
Payne,
do they
I
have a
think,
deeper roster?
yeah, last year MPJ's shoulder was falling off his arm and he couldn't shoot, and they had no bench, and it was a
That's right.
7 game series. So now this year, it's not even about the Jonas Valanciunases of the world. It's more so the shooting they've added, like Hardaway Jr. and Cam Johnson, who is like supposed to replace MPJ, even though MPJ is like probably a top 3 shooter in the world right now. And Bruce Brown, he's been all right, but you know he gives you something serviceable. I think what really the difference is, though, I think the difference is David Adelman. That's what I think the difference is. And the difference is him because when they fired Mike Malone before the playoffs, they beat the Clippers in the first round and then they take OKC to 7, who went on to win the NBA championship. The way this team rallied behind David Adelman was impressive. And you see how this season the Nuggets have gotten contributions from multiple places, and they've been able to withstand the non-Jokic minutes because it's not only of like the Peyton Watsons or the dudes they brought in free agency that have been contributing. It's Zeke Naji's giving them good minutes now. Jalen Pickett is giving them good minutes now. David Adelman becoming a head coach has made everybody better. And it has opened up everybody's game to where if this team is fully healthy, then yes, I think they are just as experienced, if not more than OKC. And they don't have the same question marks in terms of their creation abilities. Because outside of Shea, you still have that question mark with OKC, and you still have the question mark with their shooting. I think their shooting has regressed from last season. So they're still the number one seed. It's going to be a hell of a series, but I would bank on the odds being against a team repeating, much like it has been for the last 5 seasons, right? No team has repeated since Golden State. So
7 seasons.
that's my logic on it, Jack. That's my
God,
logic on it. Yeah.
sounds like an echo chamber. Look, all that may be true about David Adelman, but here's the thing. This is what it boils down to. OKC is not the dynasty that you thought they were.
They can still very well be that.
OKC is not the dynasty that you thought they were. It has happened over and over and over again how much you have put them on a pedestal that they're not yet on. They had 2 7-game series last year, and everybody acts like they never happened. It acts like they swept their way to a championship run. They did not look like a dynasty last year, and they don't look like one this year. So yes, Denver has gotten better. That can be true, but a worse version of them took OKC to a 7-game series, and it took Michael Porter Jr. not having a right arm and Aaron Gordon not having a right hamstring for them to lose that game. That is all I'm saying. I'm glad you're to the dark side with Denver because they will be an NBA champion this year. Nikola Jokic is a big reason. Jamal Murray is a big reason. And like you said, I think David Adelman has a lot to do with it as well.
Well, I think you're underrating OKC now because the projection for them was about them getting better, and Chet has gotten better. Chet is healthy, and he's probably the favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year right now. But J Dub, maybe it's him coming off the injury, but J Dub has been a massive disappointment. And if you look at the on off numbers, which is not like the most concrete thing ever, but OKC is much better without J Dub on the floor.
Yeah,
Like J Dub, I think his inability to consistently create, his inconsistencies as a shooter, they all bleed into kind of like stagnant offense and they can get into these lulls. So, J Dub coming off a finals run in which rivaled like some all time greats in terms of the numbers that he put up. Like, yeah, he was expected to make another leap in his game, and he did not. And a large part of that is due to the injury that he's coming back from. But that is a big thing. Like, I think all the projections with OKC were correct. I mean, they started off on a historic start this season. They've slowed down, but they're still the number one seed in the West. Like, okay, they haven't been 73-9 Warriors good, but they are still the number one seed in the best record in the NBA.
they are that. Denver has the better player. Denver, I think, right now has the better co-star. You can argue that Chet has been better. Chet has not been as good as Jamal Murray. And like you said, Jalen Williams has been nowhere close to that. I think you and I are predicting the same thing, but just for a different reason. And let's just agree to disagree on the reason and agree that Denver is going to be the 2026 NBA champion.
Yeah, man, I can't wait.
We're on the train. The Detroit Pistons is where we are now. I put Trey Murphy for them. A potential deal could look something like this. They could send Tobias Harris, Ron Holland, and a first for Trey Murphy and Sadiq Bey. I think both those pickups are huge.
They need shooting. Trey Murphy, Michael Porter Jr., those players fit the mold that I
Mhm.
think that they're looking for. I'm an avid believer in them getting Michael Porter Jr. I think not only does he give you the shooting, but he gives you size to rebound the basketball, and I think he's a better defender than Trey Murphy too. So I would go for MPJ if I were them. I think the asking price on both is going to be high.
For
I
sure.
feel like it might be a little bit higher on Trey Murphy. So therefore, I would go with MPJ, and I think he could fill out their team. Man, they have a lot of tough dudes. They have an identity, and they just need a boost in shooting, and he gives them that.
Yeah, I think either way, I'm with you on this one. Either way, I think that would be a success for them. The Golden State Warriors, this is by far the best possible one for one offer for Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Knicks would have to get a third team involved. The Miami Heat would likely have to get a third team involved just because they can't offer enough, comparatively speaking, to the Warriors. The Warriors for Giannis Antetokounmpo and to take on Kyle Kuzma, they could give up Jimmy Butler, injured. Jonathan Kuminga, doesn't matter how you feel about him. Brandon Pajemski, who could be a role player on a good team, and five of their own first round picks in a deal for Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's by far the most. I don't see Houston being a player in this. Tim McMahon has ruled them out. San Antonio, I don't see them being a player in this. That seems like the most first round picks you're able to get, and the package is not that bad. And I feel like Golden State would offer everything they had to get Giannis. It'd be the ultimate get out of jail free card for the rest of Steph Curry's career, whether that's 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, too bad it's not enough. Jimmy Butler, who's injured, who's probably not going to play a game in Milwaukee. Let's be real. And then you get Kaminga, who nobody wants, and you get Pajemski, who I mean nobody should want. Like the five first round picks are cool. You're banking on Golden State being terrible in the future. I understand that
Yeah.
part of it, but I don't understand how Giannis with Steph Curry and Draymond Green and like nothing around them can win a championship. I just don't think that it's gonna happen.
Al
Um,
Horford will still be there.
yeah, I guess, I just don't see it. I think there's like I just don't see it. But I think that they need Curry, a Butler, and a Giannis to win, not just two of them. Because who's the starting two guard? Gary Payton, like Buddy Hield.
My thing is, what's their other option, though? If I'm the Warriors, I'm doing it. There's no other option. It's not about winning the championship. It's about being relevant. Steph Curry, I don't want to
Yeah,
see him go out in the play-in
yeah.
tournament for the final 2 years of his career. I think Steph Curry, Giannis, Draymond, Al Horford, Moses Moody, the guys you keep on that team, that is good enough to be a top five seed in the Western Conference. That's why they're willing to give up all this draft capital. And if I'm Milwaukee, is there really something out there right now that's better than this? I know you want
Yeah.
the Knicks to get involved, potentially
Hmm.
OG Anunoby in
Yeah.
that deal. Um, but there's not going to be more draft capital on the table than this. And if I'm Milwaukee from their point of view, I want out of all if I'm canvassing the league, I want Golden State's future picks. I want their 30, their 31, their 29. I want all of that because what is Steph Curry going to be winning at 43 years old? He's probably not going to be playing, and Giannis is probably going to be out of there. That's going to be a tanking team who's not going to own their first round picks. It's going to be the exact same thing as the Clippers and the Thunder deal. I think that is the deal. The draft capital is the deal. I'm not focused on Butler, Kaminga, Pajemski, whatever. I'm betting on the Warriors and those being one of the most coveted assets in the entire NBA over the next 7 years.
That's a good point. But I think where if you're Milwaukee, you'd rather have your own future in your hands. So I would rather get two or three of my own first round picks back
Toronto has
than
them.
yeah, Toronto has them. I think that Portland has them. Portland has swaps.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. They've given out their picks. The Pelicans when they got Drew Holiday, and then
Yep.
the Blazers for Dame. Those two teams have their picks. So I think a three-teamer with the Knicks, the Bucks, and the Blazers or Pelicans involved makes a lot of sense. So, like, if I think somebody sent me this trade a couple of days ago with the Blazers, is that Giannis and Drew Holiday go to the Knicks, Cat goes to the Bucks, and the Bucks get all their first round picks back, and the Blazers get Mikal Bridges, and the Blazers add a defensive minded wing, and that I think they've been interested in Mikal. I think reports have linked to that at least a little bit
Yeah,
from
yeah, they
what
have
somebody has told me.
for sure.
So that can be like a potential deal. If I'm the Bucks, it's about how much they value their own first round picks over another team's first round picks. Because if they get their first round picks back, they're going to be one of the worst teams in basketball. They could tank for the next 2 seasons, and they
Yep.
can have a high pick.
My thing is this is the best straight up way to trade. Every other team, like you said, that three teamer, it's going to take a lot to put that together, and it might get put together. That does sound like a good deal for all parties, but straight up, this is the best package, one for one, team to team. That's all I'm arguing.
The Warriors, yeah, if they get Giannis, it'll lengthen Steph Curry's best years left.
Yeah,
So I think it's good for them. It's kind of like the Jimmy Butler trade last year, where
yeah,
that
yeah.
trade kind of revitalized that team. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
For sure. Let's get to another Western Conference team. Houston, like I said earlier, they're not interested in Giannis. Tim McMahon, he had reached out to the GM there and basically said we're as patient as ever right now. And I don't blame him, especially with the Steven Adams injury. It seems like they just need to get to next year. I put maybe Peyton Pritchard there, but I don't know what that does for you because with Steven Adams down, Fred VanVleet down, all the injuries this team has had, it feels like this is a push to next year type thing for them.
It can. They have enough leeway to do that. I don't think they need to go all in this year and try to make a crazy trade. But I do think they need guard help. I do think they need some scoring help. I think it's their offensive rating is awesome, but it feels like they work so hard to
Yeah.
score. And against elite teams, it really shows and they get into big slumps. So
Mhm.
I think they need another bucket, whether that's like a Cam Thomas, like a spark plug, Malik Monk, like they need somebody like that just to come into the building and that can score the basketball, that can put
Mhm.
the ball on the floor and can make plays. Because right now there's too much of an onus being put on KD to do most of it.
Yeah, there is the weight on him has been exponentially too large, and they need to do whatever they can to get off that. I agree with you there. The Indiana Pacers is the next team. I put Daniel Gafford down for them, and they could put a package together around Jarris Walker and Ben Shepherd. Throw a second rounder in there if you want. But Daniel Gafford seems like a guy they need to target because although this year has been a complete loss for them, they need to win right away around or yeah, right away around Tyrese Halliburton. They gotta do it now. And I feel like Daniel Gafford, his price is at all time low. Go get him.
They have a lot of depth too, like a lot of players that are gonna play next year, and with the top pick they're gonna have, they're not gonna have enough spots for everybody. So Jarris
Yep.
Walker is one of those that he was already fringe on the rotation. He's only gotten minutes this year because everybody's out. Um, so I think that'd be good. Matherin is somebody that they probably are not gonna re-sign, just given their current contracts on the roster. So I think right now is about like, okay, what can we do to get players into the building that are going to fit next year and around our potential top five picks. So I feel like that's the mindset that they're in right now. They need big desperately, even though Jay Huff has been solid, but he's a backup for them. But based on like the value they got Jay Huff at versus how much the Bucks paid Miles Turner, like if you're Indiana, you do that 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, for sure. Because Milwaukee was running the price up for no reason. They continue to shoot themselves in the foot, trying to build around Giannis, and just hasn't worked. But yeah, they just got to fill the Miles Turner like hole. Moving on. L.A. Clippers. There's not a lot that they need because of how hot they've been. Maybe some off-ball shooting, off-ball creativity there. Anthony Simons is cool as an expiring, but I don't know what you're willing to give up for that, especially with Boston being top three seed in the Eastern Conference.
There is nothing the Clippers have to do.
Yeah.
You don't have your picks. You
Yep.
shouldn't be sellers. You
Yeah.
shouldn't try to be bad for what? For no
Yeah.
reason. It makes no sense. They just built a new arena. They're going to be as competitive as possible for as long as they can be until they can salvage their picks. And that's essentially what it's going to be. So expect them to be players in free agency next year. Expect them to do whatever they can to make the roster better. They're still in that type of mode.
Mhm. Another team in LA, the Lakers. Dalton Knecht demanded a trade. You could send him Maxi Kleber and a first round pick out for Herb Jones. I don't know if New Orleans says no in that.
They probably do. Herb Jones is way more valuable than that.
2031 first round pick though.
I mean, potentially. I'm looking at like if Herb Jones the Lakers can get, that's huge for them. I'm looking at like more small fish buying Keon Ellis, Dalton Connect for Keon Ellis, and a
What is
second
your
round
thing
pick.
with Keon Ellis?
He's
I don't
good.
understand.
He's a really good defender. He shoots 40% from three.
Okay, whatever.
He'd be the Lakers' best point of attack defender, like day one.
Which is sad, but it's a guy who can
It's
barely
not
play.
sad. He's an
It's a guy
awesome
who can barely
defender.
play for Sacramento. It is sad, Joel.
I think that he doesn't play in Sacramento for other reasons, not because he's
And
not
why
good.
is that?
I don't think it's because he's bad. I don't think it's 'cause he's bad. I've seen him play. His on off metrics are good when he plays with the team. when he
Okay.
plays.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not his fault that the Kings decided to give Russ the keys at 36 years old and then sign Dennis Schroeder too. Like you have Schroeder, Russell Westbrook, and Malik Monk all at the guards, and Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan. Like it's not his fault this team decided to go all in on a team that's not going to make the play-in. Like it's
And they're
not his fault.
they're 12 and 36.
Yeah, I mean, it's not his fault that they did that. Instead of giving younger players the leash and having them develop, they went out and got vets. So I don't think that's on him. I think with the Lakers, he would play really well, but
Yeah.
that's kind of why his value is driven down, is that you can maybe trade Dalton Connect in a second round pick for Keon Ellis straight up. And I think that's a better use of resources to do that. I think the Herb Jones one just wouldn't happen. I don't think the Pelicans are accepting a bad contract, a bad player, and a first round pick. I don't think that. I think Herb Jones's value is like at least three firsts.
Interesting. Memphis Grizzlies. They did have a pretty decent offer from the Pelicans, I'll say, comparatively speaking to what their other options have been. Last week, the Pelicans offered DeJounte Murray and Jordan Poole for Ja Morant and Contavious
Mm.
Caldwell Pope. Memphis asked for a first round pick included in that. Pelicans said no, and the conversation ended. I think for the Ja Morant thing, if they're going to do it, that's going to be the best package. It is. You're getting off the KCP bad contract, taking in return the Jordan Poole bad contract, but at least you can get something of substance compared to what Miami's offering and all these other teams.
There's just nothing that I want that I would be willing to trade John Morant
You just
for.
don't do it. Yeah, you just don't do it. That's the thing. You just don't do it.
No, there's nothing there to do. I think that you'd rather just keep him and see what happens with the team. So I'm out on any Memphis trade. I just think they need to get healthy. Ty Jerome needs to get back on the court. Scottie Pippen needs to get back on the court.
And they are
Zach Edey.
They are practicing with the G League team, both Scottie Pippen and
Yeah.
Ty Jerome, which is a good sign this week. Whenever we're talking about the Hornets earlier in the podcast about, hey, nothing's happened with them except they've gotten healthy, that's what this team needs. And they're not going to have a super high ceiling whenever they are healthy, but it's going to be a play-in, a high-end play-in team, I think, if you have Scottie Pippen, Ty Jerome, John Morant, Jaren Jackson, Zach Edey, all the guys fully healthy, Santi Aldama back healthy. It's a good team, especially with Cedric Howard in the mix. But yeah, they need to get healthy. It just has not happened. The Miami Heat are up next. Their Giannis package looks something like this. It's Tyler Hero, Simone Fontecchio, Khalil Ware, Kasparis, and 3 first-round picks. That's what they can offer if they don't get a third team involved. I don't think it's anywhere near enough to get Giannis Antetokounmpo, but that's what they have at their disposal.
It's not enough, but it's not bad. I think
Clear
like
Ware,
straight
Tyler Hero, yeah.
yeah, like straight up like one for one packages, like I don't think it's the worst thing. I think if I'm the Heat, I'd rather those if I'm the Bucks, I'd rather those players than the players that the Warriors would be sending me. It's just really Khalil where he just isn't an active player. I think Spoelstra is fed up with him because of the effort issues. And it's hard to get a guy like that to buy in consistently. We've seen time and time again. Like, is he the next star center or is he Christian Wood? Is he somebody that puts up 21 points and 8 rebounds a night and all the numbers look great that he can break out? Or is it just kind of a flash in the pan? It's how bad does he want it? So that's what's tough to project with him. But this isn't a bad package. And I think if they do get Giannis, like Giannis with Bam, with Norman Powell, with Wiggins, I think that with Davion Mitchell, like I think that is a team that is really gritty, fits the Miami Heat identity, and they can make a run.
I think if I'm Milwaukee, I'm going to ask myself one question. Do I bet Miami to have the good picks in the future, or do I bet Golden State to have the good picks in the future? Because at the end of the day, Tyler Hero and Khalil Ware are not changing your franchise. You're going to be using those picks to get your next superstar. I'm betting on Golden State to be bad over the next 7 years instead of Miami. I can't even remember the last time Miami had a really, really good pick. I can't remember it for Golden State either, but they're coming to an end. Like Stephen Curry is his career is close to being done, and at least I know that. Bam Adebayo is not close to being done, and even if the team they have now, like they're still not going to have a great pick this year if the Giannis trade doesn't happen. So I'm taking the Warriors package 10 times out of 10.
The last highest pick might have been Justice Winslow.
Yeah, and it's under the same management. It's Pat Riley making the decision. So
Yeah.
It is what it is. Milwaukee Bucks are up next. Basically said what I just said. Take the Warriors entire draft is what I would do if I was the Bucks.
Yeah, I think the next step for them is trading Giannis and getting as much back as possible. I don't think you can make any moves that's going to make this team a contender in the near future.
Yep.
It's a shame. Ryan Rollins has really truly broken out, and I think that Ryan Rollins is like a really good player. But it's just not enough. It's just not enough for Milwaukee. So they gotta trade Giannis to the best possible suitor.
They do. Minnesota Timberwolves. I think they have to do the rumor deal that's been in whispers for a long, long time. Dante DiVincenzo and Rob Dillingham for Kobe White. See if Chicago is willing to take a bite on it. That feels like the perfect fit and the need for Minnesota.
They need a low value guard. I think that is Kobe White with the contract he's on, although albeit expiring. That is a Keon Ellis too. Um, like they just need a bargain of a deal. They don't have to go all-star hunting, just somebody that can fill the roster. I wouldn't trade Dante DiVincenzo. The five-man lineup of Dante, Ant-Man, Jaden, Randall, and Gobert is one of the best in the NBA. I wouldn't mess with that. I would just try to bring in reinforcements. So if I can trade Mike Conley, I would. If I can trade Dillingham, I would. But like for another backup point guard that can add depth to the team, and I think that is good for them because at this point, Conley, while his 3-point percentage has gone up, he can be unplayable at times, and Rob Dillingham just hasn't improved like they thought he would. So at this point, it's just depth. It's just depth, and that's their big problem right now. I think it's just depth.
Yeah, I can agree with that. The lineup numbers are 100%. I mean, they don't lie. So yeah, keep Dante if you need to. The Pelicans, I put trade Zion for draft capital.
I mean, I don't know what they're doing. It just doesn't make sense what they're doing. I think
Nope.
Yves Missi was rumored to be on the trade block. They just drafted him. Trey Murphy's on the trade block. Herb Jones on the trade block. Zion Williamson on the trade block. Like, I mean, okay, like, what is this team even doing?
Well, it doesn't help when the GM they hired was the guy who inexplicably was finding players for celebrations, 3-point celebrations that every other player in the league was doing, but targeted Ja for. Not to mention, his first move as a Pelicans general manager is a deal so bad that Atlanta has to call back and make sure there's no protections on the first round pick that the Pelicans want to trade them for Derek Queen. What was it, the number 12 overall pick in the draft? It just nothing that he has done has made sense, and I'm not surprised it doesn't make sense now. Your New York Knicks are next. Their straight up deal for Giannis is interesting. It's OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, Miles McBride, Pacome you know how to say that shit. Yeah, Dottier. A first and 3 swaps. That's all they can offer. But from a Milwaukee standpoint, you have to think about what OG Anunoby could get you once you acquire him. Because yes, it's albeit just one first from the New York Knicks. You could flip OG for 3 to 4. And if a team's desperate enough, they would go up to that 4 because OG Anunoby is that perfect piece for a final contender, the final piece of a contender's puzzle. So that's what New York can offer straight up, but also like the 3-team idea you had put together earlier in the pod.
Yeah, the Knicks are going to have to go all in and get Giannis, which I think is fine.
But you're high on them. You started the podcast high on him. I don't understand.
I am high on them, but it's Giannis. Yeah, it's Giannis. You got to try to go get Giannis.
Just common sense just goes out the window whenever it's your team. When it's Minnesota, they don't need to go star hunting. They need to do stuff around the edges. Minnesota is sitting here at sixth in the Western Conference. New York is second. New York is second.
Well, star
hunting. You want to blow it up.
Star hunting for Minnesota is like getting a Ja Morant or a Trae Young, right?
So Ja's a star now.
It's not. Former star, all-star. It's his name. You're right. But that's Minnesota needs a point guard. If they can get Giannis, then yeah, you can do what you can to go get Giannis. But I'm saying for them, don't go star hunting for a point guard. You just need depth. For the Knicks, I do think that they need a little bit of both. I think that the depth can be better. And if they don't go get Giannis, I think that the Knicks should try and go get Najee Marshall or try and go get Daniel Gafford, a center, a big, because I think that the defense, a large part of the reason why it falls off is because Mitchell Robinson isn't on the court, because when he's not on the court, there is no rim protector anymore. So if there's a backup big on the market that can provide that, I think that makes a lot of sense. I've heard rumors of Jose Alvarado. I don't think the Knicks need another 6 foot guard. They have Kolek, they have Deuce McBride, they have Jalen Brunson. I don't like that. Go get a Najee Marshall. Go get somebody that's 6'6" with size who can play make, who's versatile. And I think that can complete the team in the bench because you have Brunson, Mikal, OG, Cat, and Mitch, but then you have Josh Hart, Deuce McBride, Najee Marshall. Now we're talking. Now the big depth is still there. Ariel Hukporti has given some solid minutes, but I think you can live with that. I think that's the move they need to make, a move around the edges. But Giannis, it just depends on the deal. Like if we can get Drew Holiday and Giannis, and we can have Brunson, Holiday, OG, Giannis, and Mitch, I think it makes a lot of sense. But it just depends on what the package is.
Thank you for that. I can't wait to see what happens with Giannis because I know either way, Knicks fans are going to find a way to bitch about it. Because if you trade for Giannis and you lose your first 2 or 3 games, I know it's going to be coming out of New York. And if you don't do it and you lose your first 2 or 3 games, I know it's going to be coming out of New York. So I agree with you. It does depend on the package, but I don't think the package for Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to be exactly what you want it to be. That's just how I
Maybe
feel.
not. Maybe so. Maybe he really wants to go to New York, and the Bucks are willing to do anything to get him there.
And this decade long of fantasizing about people wanting to go to New York. Donovan Mitchell wanted to go there. It
He
didn't matter.
did. He literally said he did.
I know he literally said he did, but it
Yeah.
didn't matter.
Why didn't it
They
matter
don't
though?
make the
Not
decisions.
okay. It didn't matter because Danny Ainge had a vendetta
Damian
against
Lillard
the
wanted to go to
Knicks.
Miami. He didn't go to Miami.
Okay. That
These
doesn't
guys,
mean they don't want to go to the Knicks though.
Milwaukee has done everything for Giannis. They're going to do this for themselves. They're going to take the best deal. And
Okay.
Giannis, as good and PR driven as he is, he can be whispering that he wants to go to New York. He's not going to come out and say it and be that kind of villain. He's not.
Okay.
Oklahoma City Thunder, I put nothing.
They just
Collect
need the
picks.
players to play better. But yeah, I mean, even their players that they've drafted, they aren't even healthy right now. Like Thomas Sorber and Topic, dealt with cancer. So that kind of they haven't been able to develop and be on the court. But yeah, they don't need to make a trade. I think if they want to like stack the odds, they can, but they don't need to.
Yeah. Magic are the next team. I put Corey Kispert. They could target him. They just need shooting. Offense is better. Shooting's not.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Just a reliable shooter. I don't think that this is going to be a team that's a player for the trade deadline either. I think they kind of are going to stand pat though.
Mm. Yeah, I agree with that. Philadelphia 76ers, Jared McCain's dropped 33 combined in the last 2 games. Move him while you can.
I wouldn't. I think what his slow start is a slump, and I wouldn't be so hasty to move him. And if you are, I think Minnesota should jump on it. I think Minnesota should say, yeah, we'll take on Jared McCain, who was balling before his injury his rookie season and is for sure better than what we have right now. I think that makes a lot of sense for them. For Philly, he has kind of lost his place within their rotation with so many guards that they have. But Quentin Grimes, you gotta understand that he's probably not going to be there next year. So McCain can be that sixth man for them. He's not going to start, but he can be that sixth man and have a bigger opportunity. I wouldn't trade him
Why wouldn't Quentin Grimes be there?
because they have so many guards.
I know, but he goes into free agency every year thinking he's going to get $20 million and it never
Just
happens.
just happened once.
It's going to happen again. Nobody's going to be lining up and backing up the Brinks truck this summer for your boy. That's not
I
happening.
think I think that Quentin Grimes has played himself into a pretty decent contract over the last two
He played
seasons.
himself the year before.
Yeah, well, last year was on a smaller sample size. This year, he's averaging like 15, 16 on a
No, but
good
we're sitting
team.
there in August last year, and he still was a free agent. That's what it is.
Yeah,
It's
I,
going to
I
go
think
long, and then he's probably going to end up signing back with Philly for
I
whatever
think
he
it's
signed
I
there in the
think it's
first place.
different this year. I think this year he's gonna get a good contract.
We shall see. Let's get into the Suns. I think trading Jalen Green for Zion Williamson straight up makes sense.
Oh hell no. They don't need to do nothing, dude. They don't need to do anything. The chemistry for them is awesome. They're
Yeah, it
playing
is.
together, and Jalen Green is not an afterthought there. Devin Booker is mentoring him and having him under his wing.
Oh yeah.
And if anything, Jalen Green is the next face of that franchise once Devin Booker is ready to give the reins up to him. So that's what they got to do. They got to just make sure they're continuing to build this continuity. They have what they need. They're good. They're good
They have what they need to do what?
to be competitive every single night.
Yeah. It's a
Something
play-in
Memphis
team.
isn't.
That's true. Play-in team. I think Memphis would be the same if they were healthy. So we can move from there.
Oh, Phoenix hasn't been healthy. Jalen Green has been out like the whole season.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Not being healthy is a whole different category from their entire team being wiped out.
Devin Booker
And
missed games. They
The
just
Memphis Grizzlies' entire team has been wiped out since the beginning of the year. I don't want to hear it.
Devin Booker just missed a game and they won. I mean,
Okay.
they're able to win without their stars.
Grizzlies have won without Ja this year. They've won 50 games with him too, more than Zion Williamson. Portland Trailblazers. I put Trey Murphy on here. Mikal Bridges is another name you can add on there if they want to get involved in a potential Giannis steal. But yeah, Portland looks like they're looking for that long rangey wing.
Things happen so fast in the NBA because Denny Avia is now playing point guard for them. I think that leaves Scoot Henderson on the outskirts.
Yep,
And
he'd
now
have to be
Scoot,
involved in the deal.
yeah, like now Scoot Henderson feels like an afterthought for them. We thought that he was going to replace Dame and be the franchise point guard and be the guy that, keeps Portland basketball alive. And he just hasn't been that. And now it's Denny Advia's team. And Scoot Henderson is probably going to be somebody that gets traded to bring in better talent into Portland.
Mm.
So I think that what they need is probably more shooting. I think you see some of the lineups they throw out there now. It's like, who can shoot the ball in these lineups?
Yeah.
So I think that that is their most important thing. And maybe getting off some bad contracts, like Jeremy Grant's contract, maybe finding somebody to go take him on because, they don't want to keep paying him for years on end. So I think that's Portland's next ordeal.
Yeah, I agree with that. As we get into the Kings, I didn't put anything there. I just said get a new owner. I think it's pretty self-explanatory there. You kind of went off on them earlier. The Spurs, I said wait until this summer, like Houston did last year, kind of get receipts on what you need and what you are willing to do. And Houston got that with Jalen Green. They saw what he was in the playoffs and were willing to move off him in the summer and not really regret it. So the Spurs, they do need to do exactly what Houston did, go into the playoffs, see how far you go, and see what your ailments are, and make a decision off that. This summer, I would definitely make a call to Memphis about Jaren Jackson Jr. I would definitely make a call.
If you're San Antonio, why would you even mess with it?
Yeah.
You just beat Houston. You've beaten OKC multiple times. You match up with every team at the top of the West. Wemby is a star, but the depth of this team is so underrated. They have so many players that can create on their own and that can also play defense and that can shoot the basketball. So I think the Spurs, they're good. They don't need to make any moves. Just let the players keep on developing, trust your chemistry that you've built. And man, having so many players that can put the ball on the floor like De'Aaron Fox and Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper, it's such a luxury to
Dylan
have.
Harper's hit a rookie
Yeah.
wall. He's got to be a little bit better, but yeah,
Oh yeah,
continue.
yeah. And some people thought that, they should have just let De'Aaron Fox go and just give the keys to the rookie automatically. It doesn't matter about the All-Star. Just let the rookie go. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. It's fine. You can still make a deep playoff run. Okay, yeah, sure. But listen, De'Aaron Fox has been huge for them, but they have two All-Stars, but then they have so much depth, bro. So I think Jeremy Sohan, that's the one casualty in this because he doesn't really contribute anything, if we're being honest. So I think Jeremy Sohan is the one player they can trade and maybe get something back for something that can add value to the roster.
They're not getting anything back for somebody who doesn't do anything. So what you said just makes no sense. You continue to bash me about my take last summer, and we can go back to last summer. I promise I'll play the Cam Thomas shit on here again. We can do that.
Yeah,
We can do that if you
I'll
want.
play the take of you saying the Grizzlies will be better than the Spurs.
Okay, fair. We can go back and forth all day about that. But yeah, you definitely got me with the Jeremy Sohan comment. Toronto Raptors, the next team on here. I put Dalton Knecht. He's demanded a trade. The Raptors don't need much, but shooting is one thing they do need. Maybe you could do Jacoby Walter for Dalton Knecht straight up. Both guys have underperformed for their expectations thus far, and they could both use a change of scenery.
They need shooting. They also need a reliable big. I think they should probably prioritize on making sure that this trade deadline they're getting off a bad contract. And I think that's Jakob Poeltl. I think his contract is awful. So maybe finding a team that could take that on, it makes sense for them somewhat. they have just pigeonholed themselves into some awful deals with Quickly and Pirtle. You can live with the Quickly one somewhat. Even without Pirtle on the floor, they have a top 10 defense largely because of Scotty Barnes.
Mhm.
So if you can still have a top level defense without a center, I think that you don't really need that center. So finding avenues to trade him and maybe get some shooting back and not having that not having that contract on your roster anymore is huge.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Utah Jazz trade Larry Markkinen.
I just don't see anybody giving them what they want for Laurie.
Oh yeah, it's what it is. It's a two-pronged thing. Trade him and accept something tradable for him. Lowry Markkinen is worth so much more to them than anybody else in the league, and that's a problem. It's like you said, your Michael Porter Jr. argument with Lowry is fair because it has not led to anything. And yes, Lowry Markkinen has been an all-star, but he's not going to lead to anything of real sustainability as a number one option, and he's proved that in Utah. So they're going to be stuck in this same cycle over and over and over again until they trade him, and it needs to happen soon.
Yeah, I mean, I think Laurie Markkinen is one of them. They might just be a team that they just kind of stay where they are. I think they have Keontae George and Laurie. They drafted Ace Bailey. Bryce Sensabaugh has played really well this year. Another top pick in the draft. Next year, you get Walker Kessler back healthy. Like maybe with Keontae, Laurie, Kessler, a top five pick, and you know, Ace Bailey getting better, like they can make a run in the West, like to be a play in and like make another jump. But it feels like it's in their best interest to also keep talent. Like clearly, Laurie Markin is not hurting their chances of getting a top pick, so might as well just keep them.
I see your point. Washington Wizards. I said get another big behind Alex Sarr, whether that's Gogo Batazzi or whoever you want to say, but they need another big behind Alex Sarr because hopefully they hit the ground running next year. They have enough young talent now. They have a superstar in Trey Young. They need to be
Wow,
ready to go next year.
a superstar.
He's a superstar, so it is what it is.
Uh, wow.
Eastern Conference Finals, led the league in assists.
I,
I don't understand why 25 and 10 to you is not a superstar. So
that's a little rich for my vocabulary, but no, I mean, listen, the Wizards they made their move. They made their move. It was Trey Young. That's their move. They're gonna let him sit the entire season so they get a top pick again. Trey Young will come into a roster full of teenagers, and he will try to lead them to whatever they want to be led to. But yeah, I think that they have some building blocks like Sar, Keyshawn George, Trey Johnson. They have some good foundational pieces. So I mean, it's just about building on that.
it is. And Joel, you are going to the Super Bowl next week. You fly
Yeah,
out Sunday. When are you coming back?
I'm coming back Saturday.
Interesting. What are you most excited about?
Just meeting the players, getting interviews, asking questions,
Oh yeah,
just getting out of this weather in Jersey and being in San Francisco and
for
being
sure.
in a warm ambiance.
Hmm.
That's probably the number one thing I'm looking forward to. But yeah, it's going to be a great experience. I can't wait.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to watch the content too. I'm assuming it'll probably be all over pick a side, long form, short form, and then your personal stuff as well.
Yeah,
Let's go. Can't wait to see you, bro. Safe travels on Sunday, and I'll see you soon.
I'll see you too. Thank you.